It's one of the largest inland oil spills in the country's history, while local groups are determined to prevent it from happening again almost a decade ago. And businesses feeling the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, but one West Michigan city is doing to help make sure businesses don't have to close down again. Plus, remembering a civil rights icon, how Congressman John Lewis's hometown is saying goodbye.
Live, local, breaking news. You're watching News Channel 3, live at 6.
Good evening, I'm Callie Rainey. A decade ago tomorrow, more than 800,000 gallons of oil spilled into almost 40 miles of the Kalamazoo River. Here's a look at what is still one of the largest inland oil spills in the country's history. Now, environmental activists say they're trying to make sure nothing like it ever happens again. News Channel 3's Genevieve Grippo joins us now live in the newsroom with a look back at the disaster. Genevieve, people are still fighting for environmental protections today because of this spill.
They absolutely are, Callie, and that spill happened in Marshall when an Enbridge pipeline ruptured. The company eventually discovered a 6-foot gash in that pipeline, beginning a years-long cleanup effort to restore the Kalamazoo River. Here's a look at the Kalamazoo River as that cleanup began days after the spill. Dozens of people were evacuated from their homes in Marshall as the oil traveled all the way to the Morrow Dam in Comstock. More than 4 years and $1 billion later, Enbridge said it finished cleanup of the river in October of 2014. Now, few visible signs of that spill remain, but activists say the community is still working to find how they're so deeply affected by this, how to move on from this leak. Now they're speaking out against Enbridge and the company's Line 5 project. The pipeline carries oil and gas through the Straits of Mackinac. Activists say they worry Enbridge doesn't take the safety of Michigan's natural resources seriously.
It's a real threat to our state, and we need to step up and say we're just not going to tolerate further poisoning of the people of Michigan or of our ecosystems.
Is there anything that Enbridge could do to make you feel secure with them having Line 5 in place?
No. There is absolutely nothing they can do, and that is because they have proven for decades that they just can't be trusted.
Enbridge says it monitors Line 5 Straits crossing 24/7. The company says it carries out regular inspections of the line, going above and beyond regulatory requirements. Coming up tonight at 10 and 11, we hear what Enbridge company leadership has to say to the people of Marshall 10 years after the Kalamazoo River oil spill. Live in the newsroom, Genevieve Grippo, News Channel 3.
All right, thanks, Genevieve. Well, right now, people in Texas are bracing for a hurricane. Here's a live look over Houston, courtesy of EarthCam. You can see the city is already experiencing rain from Hurricane Hannah. Hannah is the first hurricane in the Atlantic this season. We'll have a report from Corpus Christi in just minutes. But first, moving back to beautiful and warm downtown Kalamazoo. Here's a live look through a Peregrine Tower camera. Meteorologist Will Haney, oh hey, there's a little bug, is joining us now from his living room. Will, not the bug. Another great weekend weather-wise across West Michigan, Will.
Yeah, I hope that bug ain't joining me in my living room. That was kind of cool, though. Here is the view right now in South Haven. A gorgeous Saturday night. We have a lot of folks enjoying those cool Lake Michigan water temperatures. It's also a calm wave day, so that means it is a very safe day to be in that water right now. Live Doppler radar just showing some of the upper-level cirrus clouds that have been streaming through at times today. That and just a few mid to high-level clouds at times. Our temperatures right now, upper 80s. I just checked the temperature trend. It's about 3 to 4 degrees warmer at this hour than we were last night at this time. Your fastcast for this evening features this warm air continuing 80s through about 9 p.m. As that sun is going down, you're going to start to notice even more humidity sort of building in. The sunset tonight around 9:12 p.m. at the lakeshore. Your weather stories, we're going to be talking about one more hot, steamy day and then some rain, and it's much needed. We're going to have a little bit of an update on kind of the impact that could have on the deficit that we're facing, plus a look ahead at a cooler pattern returning. Callie, all of that in about 10 minutes.
All right, thanks, Will. Well, police in Kalamazoo are investigating a shooting that sent one person to the hospital. According to Kalamazoo Public Safety, the shooting happened around 12:30 this morning on Washington Avenue. Police say officers found a shooting scene, but no victim when they got there. Then a little later, they say a 25-year-old woman arrived at the hospital. Officials say the injuries are not life-threatening. If you have any information, you're asked to call Kalamazoo Public Safety or Silent Observer right away. The number for Silent Observer is on your screen right now. We're learning how the COVID-19 pandemic is impacting businesses here in West Michigan. The Kalamazoo Downtown Partnership released the findings of its COVID-19 Business Impact Survey. The partnership conducted the survey in May and June of 64 downtown businesses. Here's what they found. 95% of businesses reported lost revenue because of the pandemic. 59% reported laying off employees. 42% say there's a moderate to very high likelihood of permanent closure if the crisis continues. There's been a lot of controversy over Governor Whitmer's executive order on mask wearing. Now, some people in Grand Haven say wearing a mask could save the local economy. So the city of Grand Haven launched a new mask campaign. The message says, while no one likes masks, wearing one keeps shops open. Organizers are asking people to wear their masks for the love of the community. The executive director of Grand Haven Main Street says the campaign is part of a new effort to keep businesses from permanently shutting down.
I would be lying if I said businesses aren't afraid of having to close again, though. They're very much, that is top of mind. How can we make sure to capitalize and make sure we're open for our tourist season and make sure we're open for our local community?
The Grand Haven community was even able to raise $5,000 to buy 1,500 masks for employees. And speaking of masks, there's a new trend some West Michigan dermatologists say they're seeing in patients. That's breakouts caused by wearing a face covering. Experts say it's still vital to wear your mask, though. Dr. Jessica Liggett with Southwest Michigan Dermatology says since the start of the pandemic, she's seen an increase in what's circulating around social media. You may have known it as maskne. She says it isn't anything new, though, and the technical term is acne mechanica. It's a result from the friction of fabric against the skin. Liggett says it's commonly seen in athletes who wear helmets or chin straps. Even though the blemishes are unwanted, she says a few pimples are not enough to stop you from wearing your mask.
It's incredibly important to prevent the spread of COVID-19, and masks are an excellent way to do that. A few extra pimples here and there we can take care of really easily. It's some simple fixes, sometimes just a few little changes in your routine that can make those pimples go away.
She says the best ways to prevent maskne include washing your masks often, using fragrant-free skincare products, wearing soft, gentle masks while exercising, and keeping your skin clean under the mask. 3 people in Kentucky are recovering right now from gunshot wounds. They were accidentally shot at a protest in honor of a Grand Rapids native. It happened at a park in Louisville earlier today. According to city leaders, members of a group described as a black armed militia were at the event. They were protesting the death of Breonna Taylor. Taylor was shot by police back in March when officers were conducting a no-knock search warrant in her apartment. Sources at today's protest say the firearm was accidentally discharged.
I said, John, what were you thinking when you gave me the thumbs up? He said, I was thinking this was a long ways from the cotton fields of Alabama.
6 days of events honoring Congressman John Lewis began today in his hometown of Troy, Alabama. Lewis was elected to the House in 1986. Michelle Miller reports from Selma, Alabama, where Lewis became part of history fighting for civil rights.
He was a man of action.
U.S. Representative John Lewis's hometown of Troy, Alabama, celebrated the civil rights pioneer's life with love, music, and prayer.
Good trouble allowed John to cross bridges blockaded by legalized lynchmen who were inspired by the false notion of racial supremacy.
The Georgia Democrat's siblings recalled his character, even in a phone call the day before he lost his battle to late-stage pancreatic cancer.
And his last word was, how's the family doing? How's everybody doing?
He always wanted to improve the lives of others without any concern for himself.
This is not a goodbye. It's just a different kind of hello.
Saturday evening, the city of Selma pays tribute to Lewis and his legacy. It was right here in Selma when Lewis and protesters seeking equal voting rights began their 54-mile march to Montgomery. Practicing nonviolent protest, the marchers got as far as the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Turn around and disperse.
And they came toward us, beating us with nightsticks. using tear gas and trampling us with horses.
2 weeks after the attack, remembered as Bloody Sunday, Lewis and hundreds more, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., completed the march. In a ceremony Sunday, Lewis's casket will be brought across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, making that inspiring journey one last time. Michelle Miller, CBS News, Selma, Alabama.
People are also remembering iconic TV host Regis Philbin today. His manager announced Philbin died of natural causes yesterday at the age of 88. He hosted Live from 1985 until his retirement in 2011. He also hosted the popular game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Philbin held the Guinness World Record for most hours on television, clocking in more than 16,000 hours throughout his career. Kelly Ripa, who was his co-host on Live with Regis and Kelly, posted a tribute on Instagram, writing, quote, "We were beyond lucky to have him as a mentor in our careers and aspire every day to fill his shoes on the show," end quote. President Trump also responding to Philbin's death, calling him a fantastic person and friend on Twitter. We're also getting new reaction to another celebrity death. Peter Green, one of the founders of Fleetwood Mac, is dead. Green's attorneys say the Fleetwood Mac guitarist died peacefully over the weekend. He was born in London and formed the band with Mick Fleetwood, Jeremy Spencer, and John McVie. He wrote several of the band's greatest hits, including Albatross, Black Magic Woman, and Oh Well. He left the band in 1970. Guitarist Peter Frampton shared his condolences for Green on Twitter, saying, quote, "Most sadly have lost one of the most tasteful guitar players ever. I have always been a huge admirer of the great Peter Green. May he rest in peace," end quote. Green was 73 years old. Texas is bracing for the first hurricane of the season. We have a report from Corpus Christi as the city starts to feel the impact of Hurricane Hannah.
He's a highly respected.
Parts of Texas are already seeing the impact of Hurricane Hannah. It's one of several storms we're tracking this evening. Here's a live look at the National Hurricane Center's map of the Atlantic Ocean. You can see Hannah is heading straight towards the Corpus Christi area. Brad Sauter with our San Antonio sister station is covering the storm. He joins us now from Corpus Christi.
Hurricane Hannah, the first hurricane of the season, making landfall in Texas. Now, we've been out covering this storm all day. We started our day in Port Aransas. We made our way off of the Barrier Islands over the causeway right before the causeway shut down. We got there to the south portion of Corpus Christi Bay where folks were coming out to see what Hannah was doing.
We're out here just checking it out. You know, we went down to the South Padre Island earlier, and it looked like people were coming from Mustang Island, looked like they were trying to leave there. So we came and we followed some other people out here, and we're just coming out here to, you know, see what's going on.
You know, we're kind of on the edge right now of what is coming in with Hurricane Hannah. This is almost that inner part of the eye wall, kind of the outer edge of it. The water has been the biggest concern here. This water up about 3 or 4 feet from where it normally is. A restaurant over here with a picnic table. Folks can sit out there. Water is up there. Now, the second part of Hannah is going to be coming on shore tonight. Water will stay high. A growing concern here of all of the heavy rainfall and some of the power outages moving into Saturday night. In Corpus Christi, I'm meteorologist Brad Sauter. Back to you.
The Central Pacific is also seeing hurricane activity. You can see Hurricane Douglas heading right towards Hawaii. Right now, Douglas is a Category 2 hurricane. It's expected to weaken even more before making landfall, but shelters on the island are still preparing to open. Some may even open as early as this evening. Because the islands don't have as many visitors right now, Maui's mayor says he's confident there will be enough space. FEMA says it's deploying more than 50 personnel to the islands.
We have a FEMA emergency communication team that's in place to assist responders at all levels of government with radio, satellite, and data communication needs if existing phone, internet, and cell services are disrupted.
Members of the California Task Force are also heading to Hawaii to help respond to the storm's impact.
Yeah, a busy day in the tropics for sure. We're going to give you a brief update on satellite and radar for each of these systems. First one is Hurricane Hannah, which again made landfall just a few hours ago down south of Corpus Christi, as we just heard from Brad there. You can see the heaviest rainfall in that inner eye wall, and it still has that eye structure to it. Your most intense winds are going to be on the right side of the storm motion. Now, the track of this system, it should continue to actually weaken as it pushes farther on land and eventually pushes into Mexico in the next 24 to 48 hours. But again, some heavy rainfall, that and storm surge, the primary concern there, that and some pretty strong winds. Hurricane Douglas still looking pretty decent on infrared satellite imagery, but maybe not quite as organized as it was 24 hours ago. That expected to make a pass on some of the kind of western and like Honolulu, for example, passing a little bit farther north of there. We'll have to watch if it makes a direct landfall on any of the Hawaiian Islands for the second part of the weekend. So our 4-panel plot right now showing plenty of sunshine, temperatures in the 80s, lower 80s if you're along the lakeshore, middle to upper 80s farther inland. We made it up just shy, I believe, of 90 today in Kalamazoo. It's 87 there right now. 87 is a popular temperature. Three Rivers, Battle Creek, you're there too. And then, like I said, we have a bit of a lake breeze trying to cool us off. But it ain't too far inland. Here's clouds and radar. You can see some upper level clouds streaming through for the mitten right now. The main energy, though, is well to our northwest, still across the big lake, and it's not going to really work its way towards us until really late tomorrow night. There's live Doppler again, quiet. Here's hour by hour, though. We head into the overnight hours, and we'll see a few passing clouds. Temperatures cooling, but then by tomorrow afternoon, look at that, 5:30, we're in the upper 80s, low 90s, and by that point, we'll be watching for a few isolated showers, but really the better chances for rain arrive late tomorrow. So as far as the muggy meter today, it's definitely more noticeable, but tomorrow you're really going to sweat. And then as we look at your long-term extended forecast, look at this. So this is 4:15 tomorrow, kind of picking up where we left off on your first hour-by-hour look. By 6 p.m., still most of that rain off to our northwest, but it really starts to push in mostly overnight, and it's just going to be multiple off and on showers and possibly some rumbles of thunder. That cold front eventually exiting by Monday afternoon, and then we should clear up after about 4 or 5 o'clock. Any rain would end that we see. Our projected rainfall, I think on average, most of us should see about 1/4 of an inch, but some up to about 1/2 an inch possible, especially on the lakeshore. Sometimes we get that with these sort of events, a little bit of like enhancement along the lakeshore as far as those rainfall totals. It is much needed because the drought monitor, again, we do have some abnormally dry conditions here in West Michigan. Technically, that is pre-drought, so no drought conditions, but our east side of the state friends a little bit under that minor drought. As far as Sunday's severe weather, it stays all to our west, but Monday we'll have to watch for 1 or 2 stronger storms, especially farther to the southwest. Our cooler air returns after Tuesday, and we're going to see that here in the Maple Water Group 7-day forecast. So we go from 91 tomorrow to 82 on Monday, and we'll see a drop in humidity with a return of sunshine by Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Callie?
Wow, all right. Tomorrow looks hot. Thanks, Will. Well, a home project more energizing than others. Why one family now has a backyard coffee shop.
At WWNT.com.
A lot of us had more time on our hands during the pandemic. One Southern California contractor put all that free time to good use, bringing home a coffee shop.
You want some coffee? I'll give her some coffee.
All right, well, this looks like a normal coffee shop, right? But this one is in a family's backyard. Ed Stefanovic says he wanted to build something for his family that brought them even closer. So he built La Vida Cafe. It's made out of mostly discarded materials. And inside you'll find baked goods and good beans. His family says they weren't expecting this.
I wasn't expecting this. You know, I was like, okay, maybe like a small little shed and maybe a coffee machine inside.
We're real close as a family, but it brings us even closer when we're in this little spot.
Oh, I wish I was their neighbor. Well, the family says that they are hoping to invite their neighbors over soon for a cup of joe. Well, baseball is making a comeback, though there won't be any fans in the stands. This means one popular tradition for the Chicago Cubs will also be done at home.
A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with...
Sing it, Bill Murray. The comedian and Chicago Cubs superfan sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" during last night's 7th inning stretch. Murray had to watch the game from home like most people, but it looks like he did have some pretty big company, furry company. All right, well, a majority of sports fans are ready for sports to return. As if we don't already know that, this is also according to a new survey from ESPN. The network surveyed more than 1,000 people for its coronavirus lockdown fan study. It says 78% were in favor of seeing sports return, even if there were tight restrictions on fan attendance. 64% of fans say they now have a greater appreciation for sports thanks to this blackout. Many airplanes aren't taking off in Israel yet, but the airport runways aren't completely empty. 4 hot air balloons taking off from the runway. This is video from an airport near Tel Aviv. Take a look at that. How beautiful. Well, they got permission because of the small number of airplanes taking off. So the airport authority closed the airspace above for the event. Many people gathered around to watch it. Right now, only a handful of daily passenger and cargo flights are allowed. That's pretty cool. Well, finally, tonight, many people are celebrating the return of sports, including us here at News Channel 3. Here's a look at our very own Laura Painter. She was throwing the opening pitch at today's Kalamazoo Growlers game. The Growlers took on the Battle Creek Bombers. You can see less people are in the stands because of the pandemic. The Growlers, Bombers, and Mac Daddies are still playing at Homer Stryker Field. They have 1 game a night.
Let's go, Laura. And just saying, Callie, your boy is throwing out the first pitch on Monday.
Oh,
I think it's like 5:15,
okay.
So I know. I'm copying Laura's footsteps, but it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. All right, your Maple Auto Group 7-day forecast. A few showers and storms returning late in the day tomorrow, but the best timing for rain is really after midnight and throughout much of Monday morning. That's the most likely time frame to see it, and then we are cooler and a lot more comfortable to follow that.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing those pictures and maybe even a video. All right, we'll see you back here at 11.
Oh, yeah.
The Big Brother house is not a